How can we help students to visualize in an effective way?
Many language experts have conducted many experiments, and especially in visualizing, and I also was very motivated by that, and I went and conducted an experiment. So what I did was I collected a lot of interesting stories and then put them together, sometimes wrote them up myself and read it aloud or told them the story.
Are we talking about listening to stories or reading stories?
Yeah, that's a good question. We are first starting with children listening to the story because that's what they like. Sometimes they have the text, those who like it have the text in their hand, and sometimes they don't. But then as we went along, we introduced reading as well. So once I selected the story, I wrote it up. The only thing I had to make sure was that they haven't heard the story before. And the second thing that I did was, after telling them the story, I told them to draw a picture based on that story.
Generally, we use pictures as a medium for comprehension. But why did you choose only text in your study?
At the beginning, when I went to the school, I found that they just couldn't read. And therefore, I took very simple stories, even what we call picture stories or wordless stories. What I was surprised about was that they couldn't interpret the pictures very well. So I had the suspicion that when you have a picture with a story, somehow we are limiting their imagination or creativity, or the picture at best goes unnoticed. Therefore, I just wanted to introduce them to the text and make them think of drawings or pictures.
Ma'am, many a times I ask students to close their eyes while I narrate stories to them. So is it also helpful in visualization process?
I think excellent, because we get bogged down by the words in the text. So when we ask them to close their eyes and just listen, we want them to be transformed, as it were, into another world and imagine what's going on. That's a very good technique actually. And then the third step was they re-listen to the story, they reread the story in a bigger font, and some of them, when I read, have some blanks in for some words. They fill it up as they listen to the story. We also did lots of activities based on the story, like word games, or one group telling them chunks of words that they had encountered, and the other group identifies that chunk in the story. So lots of games, and also some grammar exercises, but all around the story. But then I would say drawing was the main activity of this particular experiment. I would like to show you the drawings that they made. So what did we find from these stories and drawings? With successive stories, their drawings got better and better. At the beginning, when you asked them to draw something, they all thought the drawing has to be the same among all the students.
Same is the problem with my students. Whenever I ask them to draw something, they turn blank and then they end up copying from each other.
Exactly. In fact, they began with one kind of a common template. Perhaps the teacher, the drawing teacher, had given them this template. Any drawing had one park and 4 roads, 5 clouds and 1 sun. But later on, as we went along, they started making pictures based on some kind of an incident or a scene in the story. And also, some of the slightly better learners started showing a lot of expressions, movement in the story, and they became very interested in drawing. In fact, as I told the story, they would all be listening very attentively and deciding what picture to draw. In fact, I found that they learned that there is no one correct drawing. It was an individual interpretation. And whenever they finished early, I would ask them, would you like to tell them what this drawing is about? Or would you like to ask what he or she has drawn about? So what I would like to do is just give some what I call tips to the teacher about what you can do in this kind of a storytelling session. First of all, don't worry about using the mother tongue in the classroom. It's just that they have to feel secure, happy, and not feel that English classroom is a very different kind of a ball game. So once you have that kind of a environment established, you will be able to help them to use English as much as possible, but provide a lot of exposure to natural conversational English. That's, I think, very important. The second thing is, try and vary the task for different levels of learners. Now, not all can draw well. However, we also know that children draw to express. It's not about drawing as an artistic ability as much as expression. It's their idea of life. So encourage that. Thirdly, there's no one correct drawing. I think they all should learn that. In our setup, usually we give them one correct answer on the blackboard, but at the same time, when you talk to the student, they will be able to tell you how the drawing has come up. I think it is that relationship which is very important. And lastly, allow them to draw more than one picture. They say one more, and you have to make time for that. So they are producing lots of pictures based on their interpretation of the story. So this way we help them to visualize and develop an interest in reading. Because one thing that happened very clearly, they produced in drawing what wasn't so explicitly stated in the text. So they were making implicit inferences and they were making drawings on that.
I love this idea of drawing pictures because of their open-endedness. I always try to look for open-ended activities, and this is a very good example. But I'm wondering, can we assess these drawings?
Yes, it can be. If you give them a reading task, if they're able to read well, then I know that visualization strategy has been used. Because they are able to answer predictive questions, inferential questions, interpretative questions.